Hello there, YouTube. This is another repair I'm doing on the Springer front end on the Schwinn. This is a rubber bushing. This holds your spring. Spring will go in here. If you watch the video of the old bike, old Schwinn, I don't know how I listed it. This went on here. It has this metal cap, goes on here, and all rotted and everything. So what I'm going to do is, I took one of these. These were off a light, made like in the 70s disco hippie days. And it's like a urethane plastic. You can see the wire went in there. They look like a bunch of grapes, and they had little night light bulbs in them. And it was pretty bad shape. We chucked it out. Well, they used to make a thing called knockers where you put a string down through here and you had two of them. Very dangerous. I would never get near them. A friend of mine, I made a set for him because he had a set out of these, and he tested them to see if they'd shatter. I was hiding under his kitchen table. I wouldn't recommend anybody playing with that toy. I'm glad they took it off the market. Anyway, what I did was I drilled a hole through one of them, put a carriage bolt in there, chucked it in the drill, used it like an improvised lathe, took a wood chisel and made this profile shape of this. So this can go on here like that, and I had to make room to clear this nut. So what I did was try to get there. This is a Dremel bit. It's like a milling bit. It ain't no focus getting that close. It's probably better staying back here. Very aggressive. I mean, it will chew right through plastic. It's not really made for metal. It will cut through brass, copper, but it won't last very long. I use it more on plastic. Wood, I don't know why bits dull on wood. Just metal bits can dull, use them in wood. Enough of that. Anyway, I milled this out so this will fit down in here, because this has to go up flush. Well, I'm sure this will take the shock of the Springer front end. This plastic will fracture if hit hard enough. If you drill it and chip it, it will fracture, but it is a pretty tough plastic. I call it like a urethane. The old roller skating wheels, but not as rubbery. It's a hard plastic. You can hit it with something that's It's pretty hard plastic. It will chip if you get abusive with it. But this is my repair, which will be painted black, to get rid of this. I'm sure a person can find one of these out there on the internet, but this is all being done on the cheap. It's not perfectly round. Get in camera. I've got the camera on my mini tripod here. Get in camera. It's not perfectly round, but I'm never going to notice it. Instead of this piece of junk rubber. This is kind of like a shock absorber. I really don't understand those Springer front ends, because I never really pulled on it because it was broke. But I know this has to do with absorbing some of the shock of it. The spring, which I'm going to do is, I'm sure you can buy these too. There's a nut down in here. I'm just going to clean it up as it's in there. This is a nut where that screws in, and this piece goes in there as it screws in the bracket. You hold that with a screwdriver. I held it with a screwdriver. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to buff this up real good with wire brushes like in the Dremel. I'm not going to use any sanding flapper disc. I'm going to buff it with wire brushes, real fine sandpaper. I'm going to polish this so it's polished steel. Then I can spray lacquer on it. I'm sure you could put a little coat of oil on it if it gets tarnished. It's going to be kind of like a rat bike, hot rod bike anyway. But this will be polished. Just polished metal. There's no reason to take that nut out of there. I'll just clean it up. What I'll do is I'll spray primer down inside of here. This will all be primered, so it'll be a gray, and then out here, as far as I can reach, will be buffed and polished. It'll be good enough. Thought I'd show everybody that. if they ever run across any of this type of stuff at a garage sale, you can make a lot out of this. If you had a mini lathe, you can make a lot of neat little plastic parts out of this stuff. It grinds really well, sands really well. There's a few chatter marks in there, just using a junky old wood chisel. But it's gonna look better than some old junky piece of rubber. That's enough of that video. The centers are pretty good. Enough of that. I think to show everybody. From a distance, you'll never be able to tell the difference. It'll be painted flat black, so it looks rubbery, not a gloss black. And with flat black paint, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, you put flat black paint on something, and then if you rub it with a nice soft cloth, it will kind of buff up to a sheen. So it has like a sort of a shine to it, semi-gloss. But enough of that. We don't want this to be a great big long video on some little piece. But it might help somebody out there. They have the capability of having a little mini lathe. They can duplicate this part. I'm going to use it. I think it'll take the shock of it. But thanks for watching.